agreement with a spirit of failure. You have to come into agreement. You have to submit yourself to a spirit of failure in order for you to fail at anything. You have to submit. Failure doesn't come upon you. It's impossible for failure to come upon you. You have to wake up and you have to come into agreement that today I will not be successful. You have to wake up in the morning and you have to come into agreement that I submit my spirit to disappointment. I submit my spirit to hatred. I submit my spirit to jealousy. I submit my spirit to laziness. I submit my spirit to unbelief. You have to come into agreement. Unbelief just does not come upon you and overtake you. You have to come into agreement that I submit to you. There is no way possible that an individual that's created in the image and the likeness of God doesn't act God-like. You have to determine that I'm giving up my God-like spirit, and instead of controlling it, it controls me. Let me prove it to you. Genesis chapter 1, verse number 26, 27, 28. He created man after his image, after his likeness. And then he said unto man, you be fruitful, you multiply, you replenish, you subdue, you subdue, you subdue. The word subdue, you master, you control. Don't let anything master and control you. You master and you control. It doesn't matter where you were born, what you've been through, who did what. You don't allow it to master and control you. You master and control it. Why? Because I wired you as a conqueror. I wired you as an overcomer. You literally have to wake up every morning and determine, I will not master and control it. I want it to master and control me. Let's go back to our text. The Bible said that we fear, and our fear is driving us. And we're afraid of the children of Israel. The Bible said that when they went into the promised land, the 10 spies came out and they had this report: we're afraid of them. But when Joshua goes into Canaan land, behind Jericho walls, this was the report that they heard: we were afraid of you. So we constructed the walls not to keep you out, but keep us from confronting you. The walls have been constructed to protect us. The walls were never constructed to keep you out. The walls were constructed to keep us in, to protect us. They're protective barrier. Why? Because if you pull the walls down, you will discover that we're really afraid of you. We're really shaking in our boots. But if you keep the walls up, that's why one of the things that you do, you have to become like Joshua, and you say to God, marching around this wall with pickets ain't gonna help me. But all I need to do is get something out of my mouth. The Bible said when you speak, you're going to decree a thing, and whatever you speak, it is going to be established. Many times we are repeating what the oppressor is saying about us. Like the word nigger. The word nigger actually comes from a French word which means black. It was originally spelled N-E-G-A-R. When the word was introduced, it was not introduced as a derogatory word. it was released as a designating word. They were designating a specific race and identifying them separate and apart from the white Eurocentrics, the red Indians, and then the black race. Why? Because originally in the 1500s, 1600s, when they had slavery, the slavery was known as an indentured servant who was contractually brought into a position to become an apprentice for a set period of time. After that apprentice was up, then they were released. It was a contract that they entered into. They entered into contracts with Europeans, and the first slaves that were bought 1619, and they were bought over, and there were 90 European white women and 20 blacks that were sent over. So the disparity wasn't the fact that you had more blacks than whites. You originally had more white than black. The problem with bringing the indentured slaves over was that the whites looked just like the oppressors. And so they would run away, and they would just be embraced by the community, and no one could identify who they were, because there were other people that were the oppressors that looked just like them. So it became a convenient thing to use the blacks now as slaves, because when you ran away, we knew who you were. You didn't look like us. Your skin was darker, your hair was harder, and therefore we understood that you were a runaway. Slavery originally in the United States had nothing to do with the color of the skin. It always has, and it always will be, an issue of economics. As we trace the history of slavery in the United States, is an interesting thing, because they had to go to a land outside of the United States. And when they went with Bible in their hands. Hence, the perversion of a religious system and the deviation of a law. That's why you've got to be careful to understand that Christianity has nothing to do with a religious experience. It has to do with a relationship. Religion is the opiate of humanity. And if you reduce your Christianity to a religious experience, then you will become a slave. I don't know if you're getting it. Because slavery originally, the slave masters would take Bibles and they would introduce the slave to a new religious system. Originally, it was easy, because what would happen in the United States of America was that they had the red Indian that they initially introduced into the institution of slavery. One of the things that they found out about the red Indians is that they never thrived in slavery because they were natural hunters. And so their belief system did not lend itself to the technology of slavery, which institutionalized animalization, victimization, and dehumanization of an individual. Therefore, the red Indian died because its belief system did not support the institution. However, when they identified the Afrocentric individual, his belief system loaned itself to slavery, because now you no longer had hunters, you had individuals that were farmers. They were agrarians. They came from an agrarian